The Venice Studio is here, and in this video I'm going to show you how it works, and we're going to make a fun little project. You can access the Venice Studio in the sidebar here. Just click Studio, and what you'll see is that we have individual workspaces for generating images, editing images, generating audio, generating video with an optional cue, which we'll get into, editing videos into movies on a timeline, add in titles, transitions, subtitles, text, and then finally you'll see a library of all your media assets that you've generated that are being stored on your browser through Venice. And the most exciting part about the Venice Studio right now is Seedance 2.0. So we're going to use the most powerful video generation model on the market here to make a fun little video. So to get started on making a video harnessing all the power of the Venice Studio, first we need some reference images. Well, we're going to need an idea. So in order to do that, I'm just going to head over to the Venice chat real quick, and I'm going to use the newest open source model, GLM 5.1, help me create a video treatment for a 30-second cinematic trailer with multiple shots and one protagonist character. I need a full description of our character. Let's say a science fiction cinematic trailer, of course, right? I need a full description of our character for reference image to use as a reference image prompt. Then I need image generation prompts for the scene backdrops. And then I need video generation prompts, which reference the character and the scenes. First, let's discuss the story. Okay, so you don't need to do this step, but it is going to be the quickest way to get highly detailed prompts and just understand what you're trying to do. This is called a treatment. So you can see it's got some questions for us to get as deep and specific as we want. I like this seed A idea. A lone scavenger on a frozen toxic planet finds a buried alien structure. Sounds pretty sci-fi to me. Great. So now we have our treatment. We got a shot list and our audio beat sheet. Now, these are not going to be the actual prompts we use. That's coming next. But the first step is just understanding what do we want to create. So now GLM 5.1 is asking if we want to make any changes. I said it looks good. So let's now continue and create the character reference image prompts. Now, why do we need character reference image prompt? Let me show you here. If we go back to the studio, I'm going to open the studio in a new tab while that loads. And when we start generating with Seedance 2.0, we're going to use reference to video, R2V. And R2V means we add reference images. Now, this is not the same as a starting frame. This means we add a reference image and we can tag it as image 1 runs through the deserted spaceship, which is image 2, for example. So these are reference images which we're going to use profusely in this video. Now, Seedance 2.0 is also available with starting and end frames, as I'm sure you're familiar with, where you just upload the first frame of the video and or the end frame of the video, add in your prompt, and it will generate the video like that. Or you can simply use Seedance text to video, T2V, and all you do is pop in the prompt, you type it out, and it'll generate it, but you won't have any control over what it looks like. So we generate prompts to generate our reference images so we can control what it looks like, so we know what we're getting into before we spend the credits on generating videos. So now we have all the prompts here. The first thing we're going to do is take this prompt, head over to the studio, to the image tab, and then we're going to use multiple models here. I'm going to use Nano Banana 2 for one of them, and then I'm going to use, let's see, Z Image Turbo for the second one. We're going to generate 2 images here. It looks like it's going to cost us 10 credits, and let's send that off. Cool. So now we have 2 options here. Nano Banana 2 version and Z Image Turbo. Those are both pretty good. I'm going to go with Nano Banana 2 just because I like all these extra details, and I think this will be interesting to see how Seedance takes those details as well. now we can see we have a session going on. So if I want to start generating different images or new scenes, then I would just start a new session and I can revisit this in the studio, which is very convenient. So now I'm going to take our main image and I'm just going to click Edit Image, and it's going to take us to the Edit tab. We're going to generate a total of 3 reference images for the character. So this is like a side angle here. Let's say change the angle to be a rear portrait. And I'm just going to stick to Nano Banana 2 here because it does a good job. But once again, if we want, we can see that in different models, maybe to save credits, maybe just to see what's different. There's the rear image. We'll come back here. We'll edit this again. We'll say change to a 90-degree side profile angle. And that's really as simple as it is. We get each angle of the character, so the video generation model knows what it looks like when the character's moving around the screen. Boom. And you'll see up here now, I can reference this other session. Make sure you save these images. So now we have our character. We'll head back to this tab. We've got that done. Now we're going to need our scene backdrop. So it looks like we have 3 backdrops for our 5 shots. So we're going to take that prompt. We're going to start a new session. We paste that there. I'm just going to stick to Nano Banana 2 now. I want to make sure we get the 16:9 aspect ratio. We only need 1K resolution, but as you can see, this is all the same settings you would do in the regular Venice chat when you're generating an image. So there's our first backdrop. Pretty neat. We do not need to edit that. So now we'll generate the second one, which is inside of the pitch black alien cavern. Cool. Got the light shining in. Now we'll get our final backdrop. Paste that in. That's weird. I thought I had selected Nano Banana 2. Oh well. Cool. We even get the character down there. I'm actually going to remove the character. So I'll edit image. We'll say remove the person from the cliff. Okay, so now we have our setting image with no character there. We want to make sure there's no people or other things we're going to reference inside these scene images. Now we have all of our reference images and it's time to generate the videos. So we head over to the video tab and we're ready to start generating and having some fun with Seedance. I'm going to make sure we have access to all of the Seedance models. I'll just search for Seedance here and now we only have Seedance models. But you can obviously use any model that Venice offers. Open source, uncensored, anonymous, private. There's all kinds of video models here. There's 75, it looks like, at the time of me recording. But Seedance, honestly, is maybe the most fun at the moment. So we are going to choose reference to video here. And I'm going to go ahead and just use fast for sake of this tutorial. It will also be cheaper than using the regular version. So now let's find this prompt. It's a wide cinematic shot. So we paste this prompt in and we'll see our lone scavenger reference is going to be needed as well as the frozen planet. So here in reference images, I'll just attach them. So we'll say a lone scavenger, image 1, in a bulky frost-covered survival suit and amber visor trudges slowly towards the camera through a fierce blizzard on a frozen planet, image 2. Simple as that. So we have lots of detail here. It's a wide cinematic shot, swirling snow. The guy is trudging slowly towards the camera, and the camera is moving backwards slowly. We got some lighting definitions and 24 frames per second cinematic motion. And here it's saying this only needs to be 4 seconds. I'll just make it 5 seconds. We want audio, but I'm going to make sure we also say no music, because we're going to generate music at the end for all of it. We'll say no music, sound effects, okay. So now we shoot that off. Now here we can see that this is in the queue over here. And this is what makes the Venice Studio fun, is once these are processing, we can keep going. We don't have to wait. So now we'll take this medium shot of the discovery. We'll pop that in. We'll change the reference image. And I'll even add more shots of our guy here. So for this next shot, I'm actually going to show you using Kling because it will help you understand why we generate all the different angles of our character. So here in standard R2V, so here we attach our reference image and then we go here to the plus, we go to references, and here Kling allows us to add elements. So this is going to be a full image reference. So we add the frontal image, we add the side image, and we add the back image. So now it can see all the different angles, and Kling really excels at this. We could also add more reference images if we want. So this next shot we're going to generate with Kling. We'll compare it to Seedance, see if we want to regenerate it with Seedance after. The scavenger in the worn survival suit. Now we tag element 1. And I was wrong. It looks like we're still in the glacier scene. And then we'll tag image 1 there, the alien archway embedded in a glacier. The camera slowly pushes in towards the character in the archway. Cool. Now we'll set that to be another 5 seconds, and we'll shoot that off. So now let's take a look at our first shot. Look, it's got the anchor there. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. It's wide. The camera's tracking backwards as he walks. I almost want it to be a little bit longer, but I think it'll be okay once we edit it all together. So next, we're on to our third shot, and this is where we enter into the cavern. So I'll paste that in, and I'm going to go back to Kling, and I'm going to go back to Seedance here. We'll paste the prompt. We have 2 reference images we're going to use here. One is him walking through. The other is him being inside. And then we'll make sure we've got our character reference in as well. So over the shoulder shot from behind the scavenger, we'll say that's image 3. They step through the obsidian archway in image 1 into a pitch black cavern, image 2. See how this goes here, guys? It's just tagging things. Suddenly a harsh bright white. Utility spotlight clicks on from their shoulder should not confuse it with these lack of genders. Suddenly a harsh bright white, cutting through the darkness, illuminating exploding dust. The camera pans slowly to follow the beam of light. We'll make sure this is another 5 seconds. Shoot that off. And now we also have our Kling video. I think we're going to try that with Seedance. I don't really like how that looks. So over here, you'll see these buttons: share on social feed, download, share as a GIF, regenerate, delete, or reload original draft. So I'll reload original draft here, and it'll put everything back here. Now I can change the model to Seedance 2.0 fast, R2V, and we'll make sure we have our character in there, and we have to change that from element to image 2. Stops walking in the background, so let's try that again. And now we see the queue is starting to add up, part of the fun of the Venice Studio. Now let's get to our next prompt. This is going to be 6 seconds. Close up on the scavenger's amber tinted visor, image 2. Oh, it looks like I accidentally selected too many models here. So here's that shot again, regenerated with, there we go. He sees it, he wipes his visor, kind of. And I'm just going to make that longer. I'm going to make it 8 seconds. And we'll shoot that off. Now let's come back to video 4. Close up. He is inside the cavern. Image 1. Let's do that 8 seconds as well. Remember, if it's too long, you can always cut it. It's a little frustrating when your shot is just a second or two short, like it feels cut off. Now we've got our cue running. So let's get the final shots here. Epic wide shot from behind the scavenger, which is image 3 now. Stand on the edge of a precipice. Okay, so we need our final scene here. That's image 3. That's actually image 1. A sweeping camera pan reveals the whole subterranean world lighting up. Great. So let's just do that for 10 seconds so we can really fill in the space and explore that world. Great. And now it looks like we did this one more time. This looks more... Uh-oh. A little bit of a glitch here. This is tough. It's just what happens sometimes. So we're going to reload this draft, and let's see how we can fix it. First off, I'll remove the second reference image of the character from behind the scavenger 3 as he steps through the obsidian archway in image 1 into a pitch black cavern. Cutting through the darkness, between dust particles as the cavern in image 2 is revealed. So we're going to make sure it starts out here, and then he walks through the gate, and it just becomes pitch black until the light comes on. So let's give it 10 seconds here. I think sometimes the models do better with more time to kind of tell the story. And we have some more shots to check out here. Nope. I like this one. Okay, so now We're fast forwarding a bit because we're redoing the shots. Pretty neat. But I want it to be longer. So let's reload it. And we know that shot looks right. It just needs to be longer. But let's just go a full 15 seconds here. And we have one more shot. Extreme close-up of the scavenger's eyes. So let's tag image 2. Seen through the scratched amber visor, the reflection of the golden light in their eyes suddenly shifts and strobes to a terrifying deep crimson red, subtle camera shake. And we forgot to say no music. Okay, let's do this one for 10. Shoot that off. Okay, here's another one. Forgot to say no music in this one, but I kind of like it. Only problem is he's facing the wrong direction. So let's do that one again, and let's make sure he's facing the right direction. So we just say image 2 instead of having both to confuse the model. And that was 10 seconds. Cool. Shoot that off. And now I know I forgot to say no music in most of these, but we can always cut it out. And if we need sound effects, we can also generate those when we head over to the audio tab after this. This is what we wanted. He walks through. Okay, well, good enough. I don't know how, I guess it would like fade into black or there's a big flash on screen. We can actually add that later as some kind of a sound effect. But I think this will do for now. And I also like how we didn't get any music. We just have the echoing claustrophobic atmosphere. I like the sound effect change too. This is a really good shot. Cool. So we're almost done here. I think when these 3 shots, we'll have almost everything we need. We can go through and filter out the ones we're not going to use. This one's good. This one he's facing the wrong way, so we'll delete it. This one could be optional. We'll keep it just in case. This is the one that was weird, so we'll delete it. This one doesn't make sense, so we'll delete it. This will make our job a little bit easier. This one might work because he looks over to it. Yeah, we need him to acknowledge that gate there. Okay, so it's one of, I think, our final shot. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. And this is the second to final shot. This is what we wanted, right? Not quite. Could work. Which one was this? Close up on the scavenger. So I think this one we want to do. Yeah, we want to do it with this scene instead. So let's try that again. Okay. Yeah, that's more what we wanted the first time. Let's just do this again with no music. So while that's all going, we can just acknowledge here that this whole workspace here is just so much more convenient than using the traditional Venice chat where you have to wait for it to finish and then you can do another one. Being able to queue everything, you can even turn notifications on in your browser, see? And yeah, you can see everything going on here. And then meanwhile, in your library, we can see all these shots here. So we'll have access to those wherever it's necessary, and it's easier than just downloading from one of our saved chats in Venice. Up here, we can see the video generation queue can be turned on and off. Okay, we got our final 2 shots. Whoa. Not sure what we're going to do with that one. So we have enough now to start having some fun. And what we do need to do is go to this audio tab and make some music eventually. Like this is for a different project. But first we need to edit this all together, make sure it looks good and coherent, and then see how long of an audio track we're going to need. So let me set this up. Here we go. Let's find our first shot. And I just click that and automatically gets sent down to the timeline here. This is called the timeline. This is a non-linear editor. So you don't have to edit things in order. You can drag things around. Now we got to find what was the best shot that we liked after this. So we can just demo these and see which one we like more. And now the video that's going to be on the top layer, that's what you're going to see. We're not going to see this one. Let's take a look at this one now. What we could do here is just shorten that. All you got to do is drag it in and out. That there. Let's see. I think we'll just leave this one here. Now we do want to notice that the sound is a little off because these are separate video tracks that were generated differently. So I can click this and I can click detach audio up here in the audio tab, detach audio. And what I can do now to just add a little bit of a smoother transition is we shorten this clip. We can also shorten that one. We'll detach the audio. We'll move these together so they kind of fade in and out. And even that one, I can do fade out here a little bit at the end. And this one, I can do fade in here at the end. And now let's listen. Yeah, so do it really quick. Yeah, so that's a bit smoother there. I like that shot now. I like it a lot. Okay, now he enters in. So I think we have this shot here for that. We'll drag it in at the end. And I see how we're working with layers here. These layers are going to be how we just make it as smooth as possible to watch. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to the audio here. I don't need to detach it, but I am going to just fade it in. And I am going to detach it. And what I'm going to do is I'll shorten this. And I'll bring that there. And then I'll make sure this is aligned at the end so it's still in sync. And then this is going to fade in. So now it's not going to be as weird to suddenly have the sound when there wasn't sound before. Like this, there's no footsteps or anything, but now we'll even fade that out. We'll fade this in quicker. That's called, I guess, an L cut, where you hear the shot that comes in before you see it. So we got the footstep here before we see it. Okay, now we might want to cut that shot. It's a little long, but first let's just see what we're working with next. He walks in. We're on shot 4 now. Close up on the scavenger's amber tinted visor. I think that was it this one? Okay, I don't know if that's the one we want. If we go back to the video editor, we can see the prompts here. I think this was another one. I do like this one. I think this one makes the most sense here, even though this is a cool shot. Now I can zoom in and out here to make this a little easier. That's not the one. That could work there, but I think, yeah, it's this one. Okay, so let's take a look at how these would fit. The problem is we don't have a transition to here, so what we might want to do is cut here. See, we need him to walk. Yeah, we need that one. So we go here. Let's even, so we can get away with this. Remember, it's a teaser trailer. So this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because the music and just the vibe will kind of change it. Good. All right, and then our final shot. We're going to start this shot at the end, with like right there when his eyes start to change. And we can even make this one shorter here because we kind of get the point. Cool. Do a little fade out on that. So now, as we can see, we have about 35 seconds. That's a good length here. It's suspenseful. So we're going to head over to the audio tab, but actually first we're going to go back to our chat here. We say we need a prompt for generating the score. It's 35 seconds in total. And I'm just going to explain to GLM 5.1 how the first 15 seconds are like the intro, and then the next 14 seconds is the build up, and then the final, whatever, 66 seconds is going to be the like crescendo, which we kind of already have here. So we'll say the first 10 seconds is the first 15 seconds is, which in the next 14 seconds are the build up, and the final 6 seconds should be the crescendo. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to copy all of this, to be honest. We'll head back here. We'll go to the audio tab, paste that in. I'll remove that title. We'll go to the settings, force instrumental, yes. We'll go to this orchestral. We want it to be 30, we'll do like 38 seconds. So there's a little bit of a boom at the end. And we just have all the detail about what this is going to sound like. We'll say at 36, the massive wall of sounds. So let's shoot that off now and see how it sounds. So I generated it twice. Let's listen to one of them. Got that beat build up, that synth. That's exactly what we want. The crescendo comes a little early. So here's what we're going to need to do. I'm going to need to do that again. We're going to copy the prompt, put it back in there. It's going to need to be like 42 seconds because it needs to trail off, and that's what it's factoring in there. So I'll also change the time here to like 42, 43. So now, wow. So right at 36 seconds, it hit that. It hit it. So we could just use natural language to create anything we want here. So let's save that. Okay, we'll head back to our movie editor. And here, let's find our media. We'll click audio. Let's find the one that was 42 seconds. It's this one. So now let's just see how it lines up. Okay, so it drops like a few seconds later. So let's see if we can expand that. Oh, yeah. Okay, we have the score now. That's cool. And I think even in this one, we had audio in it. We can just remove that and make sure all the audio is still there. We're probably not even going to really hear it. We could turn this down a little bit. If I select the track, I can lower the volume. And we're also going to need some sound effects because of the little kind of, I don't want to say glitches, but just the nature of making AI generated videos. They're not going to be perfect. So as we already saw, it was right here, we should put a little sound effect there and even a little glitch, like a visual glitch. So we're going to put a sound effect there. And then also here, when it just changes that, we're going to try to add something there too. And it could just be a simple transition. If we find something that's not too cheesy here, it could just be a crossfade. If we just drag that in there, let's see. See, right there. That already did it. We don't even need a sound effect there. And in fact, it took a little bit of time away, so we just got to put that there. Put the crossfade back. Cool. Excellent. And then we hopefully And one thing right here is where we want to cut it here, split it, and we'll just move it over. So it's like, actually, we'll put it on another layer and we'll fade this one out and we'll fade this one in. So now, even though the timing wasn't perfect in the generation based on how we're editing, we can still get that effect. So let's do that like that. Perfect. You don't even notice. Okay. So last but not least, we do want a little sound effect for when this happens, when that opens up. So we'll come back to our audio tab. We'll do a little sound effect and we'll say, sudden science fiction flash as portal opens. And we can just kind of see what happens with that. We only need 1 second maximum. We'll stick to 11 labs here. Let's see how that sounds. And I'll go ahead and generate multiple versions here. So there's 11 labs. Good enough. Not quite what I had in mind. That's not distinct enough. Let's say sudden ethereal whoosh flash as portal opens. In fact, I wanted it to be 1 second, but actually that's okay because it'll just trail into the next shot, and I think that'll actually look pretty good. Let's go back to the video editor. So we're putting the sound effect right here, and we'll just see how it makes it look cleaner, even though it's still not perfect, but this is how we can get away with things when we're video editing. A little sci-fi swoosh. And if we really wanted to get funky, we could split this right here, and we could put a transition right there that maybe did something with colors or something. Like right there. We could make it a shorter transition. Let's see. Oh, cool. That's how we do it. So we got a transition down there and an audio sound effect to go with it. And we have our video. We could put a little text here at the end. We could just write, you know, Alien Apocalypse 4. We can change the font. Move that over here. There we go. That's the name of the movie, Alien Apocalypse 4. We can actually cut this at we'll just cut it at 40 seconds. Great. So now we're done. And we can click export. Now, you can switch from 16:9 for YouTube, you can do shorts, you can do a custom resolution. So anything you want to do in the studio, you can. You can share it to the social feed after this. I am going to click export, and we're going to get the final MP4 file that then we can use for whatever we need. Download it. Okay, so here's the final file. Open on my computer. Let's take a look. Shh. We've created a whole world here. I love the consistency of the settings. That's fun. Mysterious, suspenseful, magical. The shaky camera. Seedance 2.0, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible. All available on Venice. Check out the Venice Studio. Super powerful, super fun. And share with us what you're working on in the Venice Discord. Hope to see you there.